All right, hello everyone. My name is Roger Chow. I am an assistant professor of writing and rhetoric at Oakland University. This is going to be the video supplement to the OBS guide that I created. So there were a number of reasons why I wanted to create this guide. The main reason being that a lot of instructors and a lot of teachers right now are forced to teach online because of the COVID-19 crisis. And so I thought about ways that I could kind of help teachers make their online teaching a bit more interactive. And one way I think that teachers can do that is through video lectures that are a little bit more engaging. I like to record video lectures for my students. However, in the past, a lot of my recordings were simply just, an audio files of me talking over a PowerPoint. They're not very visually appealing, they're not very engaging, and I found that a lot of my students would either just skim my lectures or they would just not watch them entirely. And so I really wanted to start experimenting with ways to make my lectures a bit more aesthetically pleasing, I guess. And so what you're seeing right now is this setup that I've got going on. And so, you have a video, a webcam source here so your students can see you while you're talking. You have a background image so that they're not just staring at a blank or a white screen. You have a desktop display right here. So this is where I can put up a PowerPoint, right? So if I wanted to present a PowerPoint, this is where I can go through my slides, I can talk, things like that. This is also an area where I can display a browser. So maybe if I want to show a document, maybe if I want to show a YouTube video, I can do that here. And then most importantly, I have this closed captioning box at the bottom of my lecture. And so this is a way for students that might be hard of hearing. This might be something that international students or students who are English language learners, they'll have a way of sort of having text to go with what they hear. So it's a great accessibility tool. And overall, so I thought that this layout would help make my online teaching a bit more engaging. And I wanted to create a source that would help other instructors set this up. So a couple things I wanted to cover before we go into the guide. Let me just close my windows here. So the first thing is that this guide is going to be primarily for Windows and PC users. Unfortunately, I don't have enough experience using Apple and Mac OS to come up with a guide for Mac users. However, a lot of the concepts covered in this guide are going to be transferable to the Mac version. So I think there's a lot of stuff that you can draw from here if you are a Mac user. The second thing is that, I've only recently started playing with OBS, this software. I heard about this, I learned about this through Twitch streamers. So streamers who play video games and they record their play online. So I'm still kind of getting used to this software myself. So in this guide, there's probably some things that I'll be covering that might not be the most efficient way of doing things. There might be better ways of doing things. And what my hope is that I can tweak this document as time goes on and the more I learn about it. And then the last thing is I want to say is that if you've never recorded a video lecture before, jumping right into this guide and trying to set this up might be a little too much. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things to keep in mind if you are recording your video lectures. So if this is your first time doing video lectures, I recommend just, recording some basic lectures first. So maybe just recording a PowerPoint, make sure that you can talk over it. And then once you're more comfortable with setting that up and knowing how to go about doing that, you can then jump into this guide. And I think a lot of information presented will make a lot of sense. Some other things I wanted to cover before I get into some of the details is just some background on my computer setup. So I don't have something super powerful. I use a Lenovo ThinkPad. It's Yoga 14, I believe. So it's a pretty speedy, zippy computer, but it's definitely not a powerhouse or anything like that. And OBS runs pretty well on my computer, but I've noticed that it does slow down dramatically if I'm trying to play a video while everything is recording. And so if you have an older computer or you have an older laptop, you might run into some speed issues if you're trying to record. The second thing I also want to say is, in terms of setup, I really recommend doing a dual monitor setup. So you can absolutely run OBS. You can run this software on just one screen, on one monitor, and you can set things up. But it's going to be a little bit more complicated. And with two monitors, you can't see it now, but I have one monitor that is displaying just what you see on the desktop here. And then I have another monitor to the side where I have my OBS control panel. I have a bunch of other things set up. So if you have two monitors, it just makes transitioning between things a lot easier, a lot smoother. And so if you look in that Google Doc, I took a picture of what my setup looked like. So, I recommend getting two monitors because it will just help making the whole recording process much easier. So if these things sound like they would work for you, keep going with the rest of this guide. And I'm going to record a video segment for each of the sections in this guide so that, if you're stuck on, for example, how to record your audio, or if you're stuck on a part, how do I get my desktop up on my video lecture, you can just watch the videos of those sessions instead of watching like a giant 30-40 minute video. So thank you for checking this out, and hopefully you'll find this helpful. All right, see you guys soon.